Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are good today. Now, I'm really happy to be joined again in our weekly show by PL Prime Time as we
Mm.
both have had a pretty good week. Arsenal have had a good week and obviously United have, so it'll be really good to chat with you today. First of all, how are you doing? It's really good to have you on my channel again.
No, thank you for having me. As always, big up and big up to the audience as well. You can always find me at Premier League Prime Time. We do great things over there. But no, it's wonderful to be back again for our weekly show, and there's lots to talk about, and there's a great many things to talk about. And I'm looking forward to it. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm really good and really happy to have you back on my channel again. And like we said, it has been a great time at the moment for both of the clubs. I thought I would start off with United because they did play on Monday and obviously you got the win. And I mean, when we predicted it, I had a feeling you would. I think you're in a good place at the moment. But how are you feeling about the win, the performance, and things around the club at the moment?
Um, I will say this, right? On the banner side of things, because I know a lot of rival fans are waiting. They had the posts, they had the tweets, and when that Sesko goal went in, I just said delete your drafts, delete the drafts you're about to post at full time because they really did. But listen, another game, another 3 points, massive 3 points. For me, this win, out of people may think this may sound odd, but for me, this was the most satisfying win of them all. And I mean, and people would look at me and they'd say that's odd. Wouldn't it be Arsenal? And I'd say, you know, that's it's a very, it's a very decent assumption to have, as everyone knows my thoughts on Arsenal. At this point, it's not a secret as to what those are. But for me, this Everton win for me just showed that this manager and these players are capable of breaking down low block. And for aside as I mean, David Moyes is playing football that it's not even David Moyes, like normal David Moyes football. When you think of just how he plays, yeah, it's a bit more pragmatic, but he's a good coach at the end of the day. I rate David
Yeah.
Moyes, but what I saw from Everton just on the corners, I mean, he probably got it from you lot. I blame Arsenal. I blame Arteta for that. Like those corners are just something else. But very important 3 points as well. We go, 3 points clear Chelsea, and for me, I'm looking at Villa now in third. We're 3 points
Yeah.
behind them. We still have to play them at Old Trafford, so things are looking great. The performance was far from amazing. We weren't, rondoing, oling teams off the pitch, but not every game's going to be that at this point of the season. Now, what's important is getting the 3 points. Every game's a cup final for us, as I've said so many times. So just good to get another 3 points. Still being under Carrick, and there's some people still moaning and complaining and not happy. Just and yeah, it annoys me. Like and I'm like a 90%, I'm like 90% sure. I know what manager they wished was at the helm. We all know who it is. I don't like saying that guy's name, but he's gone now, so just let it go. But things are going well, and long may it continue.
Yeah, I mean, I think you needed a win like that. I mean, I know you've been getting the results. So it just shows you that you can do it. And it is crazy, like the turnaround you have had since you've had that change in management. I mean, the players just seem like they want it a bit more. And it is crazy how that can happen when you do
Mm.
remove that manager out the situation because there are so many games you look back on. If Amram was here, you probably wouldn't have won. And
Mm.
honestly, I think it's amazing what you're doing. I
We
mean,
would have
there are
lost that
teams.
game. Absolutely would
Yeah,
have definitely lost that game. And you want to know something really funny that I saw earlier this morning when I woke up. Apparently, Carrick has got what I think it's 2 clean sheets now in like 6 games. And Ruben Amorim apparently only has around the same number for his entire tenure. But apparently he didn't have good enough players. So just yeah. But I just dropped that statistic because I know there are some statistic merchants out there, and hey, they can do their thing. if that's your way of looking at football, everyone's got their ways and opinions. That's fine. But uh, there's a pretty, damning stat about that guy in his tenure here.
It is crazy how you can really turn that around. I think he is doing a great job. Obviously, as well, we saw Chesko get a goal as well, and he's actually been doing really good. I feel like he's definitely getting you through games that you probably would draw or maybe lose. I've noticed that a lot this season.
Absolutely.
What have you made of him so far? Because I think he's definitely doing really good.
He's one of, I feel like, 15 players, on this first team that have, been huge winners. But I mean, then again, I feel like every player, bar Mason Mount, has been a winner of Amaranth Gun. Yeah, I think that's just common sense. Maybe Ugarte as well, but yeah, less said about that guy, the better as well. Sheshko, I didn't really get the stick that he was getting, especially from our own legends. Gary Neville in particular. The guy wasn't even playing, week in, week out. You'd think, right? A team signed a 75 million pound striker. You'd be thinking, okay, yeah, surely this is gonna be the main guy that starts up front pretty much every game. Maybe sometimes comes off the bench on the rare occasion, whatever. But this guy wasn't even playing, wasn't even starting consistent games. A lot of times we'd see Mason Mount up front. And again, less said about Mason Mount up front. You're not going to be scoring goals with him up front. You're just not. But with Sheshko, I can see the fundamentals. I can see the fundamentals are there. The movement is there. The way he can just strike a ball, the way he can finish, it's amazing to me. Like,
Yeah.
the goal against West Ham was absolutely brilliant. The goal against Fulham, Makeda-esque, as I said, a few weeks ago, and this one here, I mean, he hooked Tarkovsky for that goal. I mean, he was never catching him, but the finish was absolutely brilliant. I mean, Cunha had his role to play in Mbumo, who both stunk yesterday, but they played their part and they turned up when it mattered. And for me, I think at a certain point, if you're Carrick, I'll say this, right? And there are two sides to this. Because I know some fans are saying Carrick needs to start Sheshko now. He's earned it. And then some fans are saying, well, this team is working. We've been unbeaten with the team, so why change it? And I get both sides of it, right? I really do. But I think there's, to say, there's certain games meant for certain players. And I think, for example, Lissandro is out injured. Of course, I don't wish injury on anyone, but one could say that injury could be a blessing in disguise. Because that Everton game for me, especially when you see what they were doing on corners, I just don't think that he would have suited Lissandro, because I just don't think it would. Especially because he struggles aerially, and on the ball. On the ball, he's great. We definitely miss him with his passing into midfield, but agility-wise, aerially are not his biggest strengths. And when you have someone like Tarkovsky and Michael Keane, that's probably not going to be the best matchup. But fair play. I mean, there's many more players to talk about, but I'll throw it back to you.
I think I think you're doing good at the moment. I mean, I think, as you were saying, I think you might even get third place, which is crazy, because I think around the third and fourth position at the moment, I think Villa have been dropping quite a lot of points, which I kind of expected them to. I know at some point they maybe were in the title race for a little bit, but I don't think they were really ever going to be there. So I think you're in a really good place at the moment, and it's really great. I think we've had many conversations about Gyökeres and Sesko, and I think they're both doing what they need to be doing. And I think you'll definitely get top four. I think Liverpool again this season aren't at the best. Chelsea are a team that just aren't consistent enough. So I'll be interested to see how it goes for them. I just want to big up to chat. Good to see you in here. Hope you're good. If only they stayed better quality up front, they would have gotten something from United. I mean, I think that Everton game,
you could say it like you maybe, but for me, this shows how important someone like Harry Maguire is. And one of my Chelsea mates, he says, "Oh, Harry Maguire doesn't start for Chelsea. You sure? You sure you prefer Tosin and Chalaba and Fofana, who's been getting fried as of late?" Yeah, Harry Maguire walks into Chelsea's side, and for me, for games like that, you need an experienced, calm head. Someone like of Harry Maguire's experience. You need players like that. Again, otherwise you'll end up like Chelsea, where you'll have no experienced players, and it's literally just all young players. And in
Yeah.
like that, you need someone to just help you get over the line. And Carrick is
Yeah.
playing the experience. He's been playing, when Lissandro's been fit, Harry Maguire, Dallo, as much as I'm still side-eyeing that guy from from the Ruben Amorim days. He's been performing. So fair enough. Luke Shaw as well has been performing. He dealt with NGI decently well, but for me, NGI still passed the audition nonetheless. With Beto and Barry, right? Just I mean, like big up to them and whatnot, but Harry Maguire and Lenny Yoro were absolutely immense. And it was a difficult test, but you know what? They done superbly well.
Yeah.
And I mean, we'll talk about the guy, the man in between the sticks, a bit later, because there's much I have to say about him. But Harry Maguire was so important for us to stay, and for me, and he wants to stay. Reports are saying he wants to stay. He doesn't see why. What's the point of leaving? He wants to stay, and he's only to take a wage cut. And to replace someone of that pedigree and experience, you're looking at 50 million in the market, and I'd rather put 50 million towards a midfielder. So
Yeah.
if you keep Maguire for what, 2-3 year extension, it's not the worst. I'm hearing 135 like grand a week, around that mark. So you know what, that's not too bad. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, he has improved a lot since when he came in. He did struggle a bit, so
Mhm.
I definitely think
He
I
gets
think
all the credit in the world.
yeah, he has developed and improved so much. Even if you have not the best start to your time at a club, you can really turn it around. He's definitely done that. Obviously, we spoke a bit about the game, and I said to you that I think it's sort of gone how I expected. Like we said, I mean, I think you'd edge it. Do you feel like happy with how your team managed to get through that in? Because it was sort of a difficult game. I think we knew that Everton needed a win as well, and Everton wanted to get something out of the game. But you have got players now that can get you through those tough moments. Like the signings that you've made as well have really helped you this season.
No, absolutely. Like I said, for me, the performance was far from the best. But at this stage of the season, of course, I'd love to win and play champagne football. Of course, I would.
Yeah.
That's always been my preference. But that it's not always going to be like that, and I understand that. Some games, you're just going to have to you're just gonna have to grind out the 3 points, and it's going to be an ugly game. It's not going to be the best. The football will be, an eyesore to watch, but you get the 3 points at the end of the day. And at this point of the season, for us, that's what matters. The 3 points is the number one priority. So if we're getting 3 points, that's all I really care about now. And for me, just individual all-round performances for me vary by player. For example, when you look at, I judge Mbeumo and Cunha a bit differently. When you look at their skill sets and their strengths, one I judge just purely for output. The other I definitely incorporate ability on the ball and technical ability and all that in Cunha. But again, huge 3 points, massive 3 points, and it says a lot about the mentality of these players as well.
Yeah.
It really does, and the mentality of this manager as well. The never go down, the never give up mentality. Because if this game was being coached by he who shall not be named, we lose this game 3-0 minimum. We could see 3 goals. So, again, huge shout out to the team.
Yeah, I think you definitely have come a long way. I think it is working out, and I think a lot of people are probably surprised at how well you're doing. And I think you make a great point. Like, it's great to win playing beautiful football, but you need to get through the games where you will play quite ugly. Because I know with Arsenal this season, we've played quite ugly at times, and sometimes we got the results, sometimes we haven't. But I think it's a great sign that you're able to, not play your best, but have good moments and get through it. And I think that's a great sign. So, yeah, I think you're obviously in a really good place at the moment, and it has probably surprised quite a few people. Um, I want to speak a bit about some of the fixtures you've got coming up. Obviously, you've got Crystal Palace, Newcastle, and you've got Villa, which is actually going to be an interesting one because, like you said, you could really close that gap and get that top three spot, which would be quite crazy. How are you feeling about your sort of remaining fixtures that you've got left? Because you do have a few difficult ones in there. You've got a few winnable ones in there as well.
For me, when we look at third place downwards, for who's going to be the most likely to finish top four, or if it is top five, but I'm not hearing top five. Top four for me is minimum, bare minimum. But for me, I'm looking at a lot of these games, and I'm glad we played City when we did. I'm glad we played Arsenal when we did. Cheers to the 3 points, by the way. And for me, the two factually the two best teams in the league, despite them two being 2-3 teams I despise the most, they're the two best teams in the league factually. Those two are out the way. We have Liverpool, who they're again awful performance against Forest, but again the McAllister goal again got them over the line, so their confidence is is surging up a bit. The Villa fixture will be a difficult one, no doubt about it. But for me, I definitely, again, it's just because, again, the mindset of this manager, the attitude of this manager, the never say die, the typical Man United mentality of a lot of these players. For me, I have so much more confidence, and I definitely think we can get a result with that Villa game. For the Crystal Palace game, Palace are in free fall right now. I think for me, they're a team that they're not going to get relegated, really. But whether they stay in the Conference League or not, that's kind of really all they have to play for. But the players this manager's gone, so and it looks like they can't be asked to to follow instruction, really. So I think that's just going to be, for me, that should be 3 points, regardless. The Newcastle game will be difficult because we don't normally travel well and do well at St. James's Park, but you never know. I mean, they have dropped off this season, but I mean, we'll definitely see as that tie gets closer, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think you've got a great chance, like you said, to end the season on a real good note. And you have got a few games, but I think you've really got a great chance. And big up to the chat, big up Panache, who says, Maguna here. I'd like to see Arsenal first United title tussles in the near future, just like old times. Yeah, I think that would be great. We have obviously seen for so many years Man City, Liverpool up there. I know we've been up there. I know we've not won anything, but do you think maybe next season or the season after you'll be challenging like for trophies like the league title, and we might see a bit more competition with Arsenal and United next season?
One thing that I will say, and I'm still just incensed by, how long it took to sack Ruben Amorim. If they had sacked him months before, if they had sacked him after that Europa League final, which losing a European Cup final to Tottenham, for me, is, it feels like a sacrilegious sin as is. He should have been gone after that, bringing us to 15th, and, the whole we need to suffer and all of that, I mean, it was 14 months of it. But I mean, the fact that we didn't sack him earlier, for me, is beyond me, because you look what we're doing with Carrick right now. If Carrick was brought in 2-3 months earlier, we could have been in a title race, earlier. If Villa, for a few weeks or months were considered in the title race, then surely we would have. When you look at the competition in the league, and I think we're only 5 or so points off Man City. The last time I checked the table, I mean, it could be wrong, but we're not that far behind Man City, anyways. And City and Arsenal are going, head to head for the title. And if we're not far off them, who's to say that we couldn't have, again, not win the league, but at least compete for the title. If we don't win it, we don't win it. But to have that experience, it could be hugely beneficial. But seeing what the exact same group of players is doing just under this manager in comparison to the last one, it's mind blowing to me how we didn't get rid of him earlier. And you could see the changes in the players. I mean, bar yesterday, I mean, Casemiro's had an absolute stinker. Bruno was awful as well. For me, that front six, if you count the midfield, bar maybe Kobe, that's about it, because everyone else wasn't really great. But we turned up when it mattered most. But
Yeah.
we could have been in a far better position. Top four wouldn't even need to be a question if we had brought Carrick in earlier, a couple months ago.
Yeah, it is crazy. Like, you see the differences now. Can you imagine if that would have happened sooner? You would have been in a better position. It's it is a shame for you guys that that hasn't worked out. But I'm with you. I definitely think you'll get top four. I think next season. I think obviously you have to bring in the right players and see how that goes. But I think you'll be up there next season. And yeah, obviously the top four race is probably competitive. I'm not sure Liverpool will get there. Obviously we play Chelsea as well in our next game, so obviously we need to get that. We need to keep winning, and they obviously want to get in that top four spot. Obviously I wanted to ask you a bit about Arsenal, because going into the Tottenham game, I was a bit hesitant, a bit nervous, because that Wolves result, the performance was just pretty embarrassing, and it just wasn't
No,
good
you could
enough.
say it how it is. It was
Yeah,
shocking.
it was bad, especially Wolves. Like, they're on like 10 points, and we've gifted that points to
No,
them.
it's
But
fine. I mean, look, I mean, we've done that too, but as I say about a lot of the results, again, Ruben Amorim talks. Tottenham won that cup final thanks to Ruben Amorim. So that's the only excuse I give these players. But
yeah,
it's fine. I've been there. It's awful. It's actually
yeah.
awful.
I mean, honestly, I was so shocked with that performance. I think Eze definitely hates Tottenham. That's what I've learned.
No,
Gyökeres
he does.
turned up. What did you make of that game, if you did get to watch any of it?
Like, I saw the North London derby, and I was, to be honest, I was just bored, because for me, especially when I saw that starting 11, the fact how I saw Dragishin in the team, Archie Gray at right wing back, Spence at left wing back, they have a midfield of Sar, Bissouma, and Conor Gallagher. I think that has to be, for me, for what they've got. Maybe Bar Bentancur is injured, the most the most terror squad midfield you can pick, because they're all runners. There's no footballers in that midfield, and then you have Simmons and flipping, who else? Kolomwani up front, which again, a lot of Tottenham fans don't say it's all on Thomas Frank, and a lot of it was, but I say equally, a lot of these players think that they're better than they actually are. They think they're better than Tottenham. There's not many that are, if we're honest. And even when you compare some of their best players across spectrum of the Premier League, they think the players are better than they actually are. We hear the Romero world class shouts, and one of my Tottenham mates says, "Oh, Messi said he was world class," and I said, "Well, of course he is. Of course he is. He's his international teammate. Of course he's gonna big him up.
Yeah,
Of course he is. Of course he's going to say, oh, he's one of the best defenders I've ever played with. Of course he is. For the sake of PR, obviously he will. But for me, that game was I can't even call this a rivalry. I refuse to call it a rivalry. I'm calling it bullying now, because this isn't a rivalry. It's bullying. It's actual bullying. I mean, to allow a Barrett Eze, who with all that happened in the summer, score a hat trick on your head top at the Emirates in the first time round, and then nearly complete and do the exact same thing in the return fixture. For me, honestly, just fold the club at that point. I mean, that from Tottenham's side of things, I mean that was absolutely pathetic. For me, I thought that was Ruben Amorim in disguise, because you done the three at the back when it doesn't work. You're putting players in positions that they don't play. I mean, Archie Gray at right wing back, just I don't have words to put together and to speak about how or why I saw that. Tottenham were a complete shambles. I mean, they got the goal, but that masks over what was an awful, awful performance. That Arsenal thoroughly deserved to win the game. It's not even a question. It really wasn't. I mean, to allow Victor Gyökeres, who has struggled all season, to pin Dragusin for fun, and to throw him around the entirety of the game, and to make him look like, Erling Haaland regen, but it was just something else. and this is a guy who struggled most of the season. I mean, Tottenham they're a shambles. They're such an embarrassment. I can't say it enough.
Yeah, they really were bad. I mean, in that first half, going to half time 1-1, we were actually like so good in that first half. We just didn't finish our chances, and I really liked how he came out in that second half because these are the games you have. I mean, we've got to win really every game now until the season with Man
Oh
City
yeah,
so
every
close
game's a cup
behind
final
us.
for you as well.
Yeah, you've got to really view it as that because I mean we could have. I don't. You never want to lose an Upland derby, but I think the way we performed was yeah. I was surprised, but then we've seen how poor Tottenham are, and I think they were really bad. I think
They
they
got so
they
bad.
stayed a bit in the game in the first half, but that second half, they were just. I mean, Gyökeres was amazing, but they did give him a lot of space. So I think
I mean, poor
defensively,
Archie Gray.
yeah,
If there's any player that I feel sorry for, it's him because he come out of Leeds as a very promising he was one of the up and coming talents in central midfield. He's gone to Tottenham and he's played anywhere but central mid. He's been left back. He's been made a makeshift center back. He's been played as a right back, now a right wing back, and then he played left wing back. Just if there's any player I feel sorry for, it's him because
yeah,
I think he's played more times out of position than he has in his own position. Like this is gonna be another player that for me, his development is gonna be, severely deteriorated because the guy's not a center back. It's very obvious he's not a right wing back. I mean, Spencer's getting fried by Saka all game long, and
yeah.
Saka was very good, but I didn't think he was, man of the match. But he was very, very good.
Yeah.
I do say.
Yeah, I think Saka definitely improved. I know he did have quite a few golden chances that he could have scored, but I think Eze kind of helped him out by scoring quite good. I've actually got a question I want to just ask you from the chat.
Okay.
Big up Panache who says, I haven't followed Heaven after he left. How's he doing?
I almost wrote it. Aiden Heaven. Shout out Arsenal, man. Shout big up Arsenal for the £1 million fee for Aiden Heaven, by the way. Look, when he first come in, I was thinking this would be someone who maybe would play in the youth side for a bit. He came straight into the first team. I'm like, okay, then I guess the hierarchy in the board see this player as someone to come in and compete for a spot straight away. How to run under that Portuguese terror squad manager. He got injured, which he had a good run of games. He got injured, came out of the side, and then even though he come back fit, he just never returned to the starting 11. I'm not surprised given who's in charge. And then towards the end of his tenure, he had a really, really good run of games where he was just him, more or less, trying to hold down the defense by himself because we were so poorly structured. And he was a standout, and he was standing out when he was playing in the middle of the three or the left of the three. This is a player that's also come in, under Carrick, he's coming off the bench just to shore things up at center back, at left back. Just Aiden Heaven's been a breath of fresh air, and even if it somehow doesn't work, it's £1 million. It's literally £1 million. We'll probably make that money, back just from shirt sales.
Yeah.
So, what is £1 million in today's market? Spare change. For
Yeah,
clubs
it's not.
like
Yeah,
Man United. So.
it is crazy the prices nowadays for players compared to that. But yeah, I think it's a difficult one. Like we've spoken about this before, but I think Arsenal probably didn't have any sort of intention of getting him into the team. I do feel like with Arteta, I mean, like I love Wenger. Wenger was really good with academy players. He really played them quite a lot, and I think sometimes you really should invest in the academy and give them chances. So yeah, I do. It's difficult because like I don't think of him much now because we've got a great
No,
squad,
yeah.
but he's doing great, and it's not nice to see him go to United. And big
No,
up to
yeah.
Harry, big up to chat. Obviously, if you guys have got any questions for us, drop them in. Obviously, I want to ask you about Gyökeres because I predicted actually at the start of the season he would get 20 goals, kind of in all competitions, not really just the Premier League. And I'm personally happy with how he's doing. I know he's had quite a lot of criticism, and I know Spurs defensively they were really poor. But What did you make of Gyökeres in that game? I know he scored 2 great goals. He was like something else. Like, he was so ruthless in that second half. Like, personally, it was such a joy to watch him score those 2 goals, especially against Tottenham.
No, in the bullying derby, I don't blame you. But I'll say this again, like, and this is only to knock Arsenal, and I know some people are going to say give Arsenal fair credit because a lot of people, give me all the stick in the world because they say I'm not nice enough to Arsenal. Yes, credit to Arsenal, but you look at the side that you're playing against.
Yeah.
And for me, I think Tottenham, especially this season and last season, right? And I blame my football club's 2 dreadful managers beforehand because we'd make them look like prime Barcelona every time we played them. Every single time we play them, prime Liverpool, 2018-19, we'd make them look like the greatest thing in the world. And I think some people still hold out that hope for Tottenham or think that they might still have something because they're going to say, oh, well, look how we played against United. We drew 2-2. Well, we all know why we drew 2-2, and we battered them all game. So for me, you look at this Tottenham side, and I'm glad. I'm so glad it was long overdue that we actually that we got the win against them to break that terrible streak we had against them, and we expose them for what they are. They're an awful side. They're an awful side. I mean, relegation, it's very real for them. I mean, if they go down, I'd find it absolutely hilarious. I would.
I love
mean,
that
no
would be
one's.
crazy.
I mean, no one's too big to go down. No one's ever too big to go down. I mean, you look at Villa; they're bigger. They're a bigger club than Tottenham. You look at the trophies that they've won. Newcastle have gone down. Sunderland have gone down. Who else have gone down? That Leeds side of 03 with Viduka and Harry Kewell, for those who are old enough, they went down as well. So no one's ever too big to go down. And I know people are going to say, oh, well, United was in the same, United looked like they could get relegated. That's last season. Look at this season.
Yeah.
That was a one-time, never, ever again, in my lifetime, never again. And you look at where we are now. And we're competing for the top 4 like we should be this season. So with 1 game a week. So we've clearly moved on from that. But Tottenham, this also comes down to player quality. I mean, they have a few, maybe 1 or 2 really good players. Maybe that's probably the best I can say. And even then, there's a good argument to say that they're not that good. Maybe it's like 3, 4, maybe 5 like good to average players, a couple mediocre, and the rest are just dreadful. So it's a really poor side, but Gyökeres was ruthless. He was ruthless. Despite playing against their version of Onana in goal, Vicario, he's something else. I don't rate him at all. He's quite overrated for a goalkeeper. You've seen the errors he's made this season. But look, you can only play if who's in front of you, and Gyökeres was absolutely phenomenal as well. Despite having to play against Dragusin all game. I mean, I'd love to play against Dragusin all game too. If I had the ability of a Victor Gyökeres, and if I were his size and of his stature, I'd wish I could play him every week. But I think brilliant performance from Arsenal, very good bounce back. For me, I think as good as Arsenal were, as good as they are now, for me, I think this is more about how, because you can lose a derby. You to a certain extent, you can forgive lack of ability. You can forgive maybe lack of natural talent to a certain extent, unless if you're of a Ugarte level. But you can't forgive lack of fight. You can't forgive lack of passion, lack of desire, lack of heart, and and there's no heart. There's no heart from any of those Tottenham players. None whatsoever. And Igor Tudor has a huge job on his hands. And why they appointed him, it's such a bizarre appointment. But I don't know. But I can't see positives to them. I cannot. I'm sorry. And I usually am able to think of maybe 1 or 2 positives that aren't shameless positives, or one of these, one of these shameless positives. I'm not, like, usually maybe I could think of 1, but for Tottenham, the road's dark. It's very, very dark.
And it is, like we said, like relegation is possible for them, which would be quite crazy. I mean, they're on 29 points, and you look at West Ham, they're 25 points. So it really is so close to that.
Mhm.
Obviously, I don't know. Like we said, it can happen. Anything can happen. But I think like Tottenham were really bad. I mean, we were all over them. We dominated them so much in that game, and obviously when we played them at the Emirates, we were like that as well. So yeah, I think like you said, you can only play against your opponents. But I think with Gyökeres and like with Eze, I sort of want them to turn up in the games now, which really matter. Like obviously we've got a
100%.
final. Yeah, because I think with Eze,
A
like,
derby is easy. A derby is so
yeah,
easy to turn up. Like, like if you can't get motivated for I mean, obviously, again, like I said, I don't call this a derby, but for Arsenal, Tottenham, I mean, if just the thought of your opponent, North London Derby, getting 3 points on your head top isn't motivating enough. Like, yeah, I don't know for you. Then you shouldn't be playing at Tottenham or Arsenal if that's not any motivation for you. So I
yeah, I
mean,
think
it's
yeah,
very easy, but in the I don't know in the burn for the Burnley games or for example like matches against Wolves or for matches against I don't know Fulham for example. Just there are a few teams out there. It's those kinds of games as well, which they're not derbies, they're not big sides, but the smaller teams are going to be hard to break down. They're going to be
yeah,
compact. They're going to make it a massive pain to play against. It's those games as well. Um,
yeah.
and something I did see, which I did find very interesting, especially for a derby like this. The captain was dropped as well, so I found that very interesting. Very, very
Yeah,
interesting.
I mean, I was really happy that Eze started because I think
I think
they've
Arteta
both
just started him
yeah,
like I just like how funny is it that like since like the first London North London derby, things for him seem hopeless. As all the football memes and battle were going around, as everyone was saying, yeah, I guess it hasn't all worked out, but no, but nope. For the first time since then, Eze has just dropped a masterclass performance, and of course, it's in the return leg. So.
it is crazy because I think to myself like if the season ended and all Eze had done was score in those Northern derbies. I know we got another goal. I think it might be against Crystal Palace, but I I think I need to see him build on this now because we've got a final. We've obviously
Mhm.
in the Champions League. We have big games coming up, so I do feel like I mean with Gyökeres as well. I would love to see a Gyökeres score against a bigger opponent. If he scored against Man City in the final, whatever it is, I think we need to see that. But yeah, I think Tottenham are bad, but I think we're in a good place at the moment, which is good to
Mhm.
see. But I think with Odegaard, I think I'd probably at the moment just bring Odegaard on off the bench. I just think Odegaard's been a bit underwhelming this season. I think he did get an assist for Gyökeres's
Oh, did he?
second. Yeah, I mean
Wait,
it's
oh yeah,
very
he did. He did. He
it's
did.
difficult because I don't want to sound harsh, but it wasn't like an incredible assist. He did
It's
pass
better to
through.
be real. I've
Yeah,
a bit of advice to you. It's better to just be real about it than and people
yeah,
may not like that, but it's better to be real about certain things.
yeah,
Than it is to pay for the cracks. And Odegaard has been a hologram this season. And I know also fans. I'm not beating that. I'm too harsh on also allegations, but we know what Arteta is, and I predict. I mean, also fans may think different, but I think Arteta is going to at some point revert back to the play Odegaard because he's the captain
yeah.
and put the handbrake back on because we all know what Arteta's like when it comes to just technically gifted footballers. We've seen it with Ethan, and we've
Yeah,
seen it with Eze a lot this season too. And there are games where Saka's playing in the 10 over Eze,
that
and
was
sure
a
Eze
big
may not
mistake.
have had the
Yeah,
greatest of times, but and the fact how you played Eze just against Wigan, and yes, it is Wigan, but you got some confidence from that. You played really well in that FA Cup match, dropped it in the
yeah,
Wolves game, just things like that. And Arteta's going to make those some brain dead decisions. He is because we know he's more of the Arteta is someone that would rather sink the place out, but get a 1-0 or a 2-1 win rather than go for the third, go for the fourth, go for the fifth.
Yeah.
Really, he's more a not lose manager, and what's it called, an anti-risk manager than more of a courageous, brave kind of manager in the football that he plays. I think that
Yeah.
22-23 season, I think, has scarred him for like permanently that season, because that was really enjoyable football that
Yeah, we
played. But
played.
since then,
Yeah,
it's not been the same.
it's isn't it? It's really weird, actually. The drop off we've had in performances has been quite crazy, actually. Like you said, I was off my seat, with excitement, and now this season when I watch Arsenal, like I don't know what I'm gonna get from Arsenal. I don't know, because I think it's against Tottenham we did play quite beautiful football. We did play good, but I do think, again, as going back to your point, when you're playing in any sort of derby, you will be up for it as a player, especially if you're coming through the academy. Eze was there at Arsenal when he was younger, so I suppose he kind of loves these games like Saka does. But I do think with these players, I think they probably find it hard to stay motivated for the whole of the season. But yeah, I think with Odegaard, I don't think Odegaard should just play because he's a captain. He should play
No,
because
you
he's the
shouldn't,
best
and you're
player
right.
right now. Yeah,
No, you're spot on. But thinking in the mind of Mikel Arteta, we know, unfortunately, that's not how it works.
yeah,
Because he'll have to go and give a whole explanation. Because if you decide to just drop Odegaard, just more or less, long term, you're gonna have to, at some point he's going to have to give some explanation as to why he's been dropped. At some point, if that's going to be the case, then you need to find a new captain then, because you're more or less stripping him of the captaincy as well if he's not going to play. um and I don't know who would be captain. Maybe it would be Declan or Gabriel, or yeah, Gabriel. We'll talk about him later on, but just yeah, but and Declan as well. But I guess we'll see what happens. But maybe it's something where like similar to Smith Rowe, Arsenal just outgrown Odegaard. Maybe it's
yeah.
something similar to that, perhaps.
Yeah, that definitely could be a possibility. You do outgrow players; it is part of football. I just wanted to read this comment.
Mhm.
Some way to go for Gyökeres, but he's been quietly improving and providing output in comparison to many a past Arsenal striker. He started to rack up good numbers. Yeah, I think in this first season, a bit like Shesko, I don't really expect them to do as good as they might have done in different leagues, because I think the Premier League is a lot tougher. But yeah, I think Gyökeres is definitely done quite good, considering at times this season that he's barely had any sort of service. Like at times we've lacked that excitement. Midfield, we've not really had much creativity at times. It's been quite difficult, but I feel, with Shesko as well, I think they've both been great signings so far. But obviously it has taken it has taken them both a bit of time. And
Mhm.
yeah, I think we're both gonna, I mean, I hope Arsenal can win something this season, but I think United are definitely gonna have a good end to the season, for sure. But yeah, I think with Gyökeres, I think he just needs to keep doing what he's doing. And yeah, I really like watching him play. I think he's definitely creating more chances for himself, because I know in the first
Mhm.
half against Tottenham he actually, nearly scored a few times. So yeah, I think he's definitely been important, and it's good you got,
Mhm.
Jesus as an option as well. If we need
As
someone
long
else.
as he's fit, as long as he's is fit,
Yeah,
with
that's the
yeah.
thing. The fitness is terrible on our team for players.
And then you have, Kai as well, which Kai Havertz has his own, his own sort of issues. I mean, I'll still never forget that FA Cup fixture of last season. I mean, for me, I didn't really rate Havertz that much, but I didn't really just have a strong opinion on him. But I mean, for me, right, like there was this all out brawl during the point. The moment I've seen him get dropped by Garnacho, yes, Garnacho. I'm sorry, but I can't rate a player that's getting dropped by Garnacho. I'm sorry. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
he's
I
got
get
his own
you.
issues, but I mean, he's probably the best for what Arteta wants to do right now. playing him up front or playing him with Gyökeres actually has worked. So
Yeah,
maybe Kai's who you need in the 10, if not Eze. I don't know.
Yeah, it was difficult because it was going really well, and then he got injured, and I'm not too sure when Havertz is back, but he might be back for the game at the weekend actually. But I think it's difficult, like again with the number 10
Oh, he
position.
hopes to be back. Oh wait, oh yeah, you put Chelsea this weekend.
Yeah,
There's some motivation for him. I know he'll want to be back for that for sure.
yeah. I mean, Havertz actually did score obviously in the semi
Hmm.
final against Chelsea, and I think he does like scoring against them. But I wanted obviously to
Yeah.
ask you about the game obviously coming up next for you guys. Obviously we've got Chelsea, which I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful we'll get the job done.
Trust
Y-
me, if I'm
Yeah,
Arsenal, I'll say this, unless yes, you have Palmer and Pedro, but if Esteval plays, but unless if you find Liam Delap scary, Garnacho scary, or Pedro
yeah,
Neto scary, then sure I'd be nervous. But I'll say this right now, they're not very scary. Like Garnacho, yeah, watching that guy, that was an eyesore, and Chelsea was saying thank you so much for Mason Mount. I will thank them a million times over. Like, and I know people are saying, "Oh, I'm too tired of hearing you say it," but I will never ever stop thanking Chelsea for taking him off my hands, honestly. So again, thank you, Chelsea. Liam Delap just less than the better, and Pedro Neto is just kick and run really. So I think
yeah,
you should be fine, but then again,
yeah.
anything can happen in football. We'll see.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get the job done. Yeah, I do think we've got a better team than Chelsea, but again, they've got those players that do have that individual quality. But hopefully we'll get the win. I know you guys obviously have Crystal Palace, and Crystal Palace have really struggled this season. I know Crystal Palace they won't go down, but they should be a lot higher up than what they are. I know they've had know the manager they're probably he'll be leaving
No,
anyway.
he's gone.
But
Like he's
yeah, I
literally
think if
said it
I would
in
move him
press
on.
conferences. It's funny
Yeah.
how blatant and blunt he has been. For us, and any updates saying is like, no, I'm not signing a new deal. I'm leaving at the end of the season. This very clearly, very bluntly. But I
Yeah.
mean, look, he's got in a way, right? I feel in a way a bit sorry for Glasner because this is someone who lost his best player right before the season started. Nearly
Yeah.
lost his captain and his best center back. Then saw and realized that the board realized we either lose him for a cut price in January or he walks away for nothing. And they decided to get some money for him. So, they lost him in January. And now then you've been given to replace them in their attack, Strand Larson and Brennan Johnson. And, and I know Mateta's been out as well, but to go from Mateta and Eze to Brennan Johnson and Strand Larson, just again, if I were Glasner, I'd be wanting to leave too, for
Yeah.
that to be your attack, and knowing that your best midfielder is probably going to be sold this summer. Hopefully, he'll be holding up a United scarf this summer, hopefully, and in Adam Morton, but we'll see what happens with him. But I don't blame Glasner for wanting to leave. But this Crystal Palace game, we're playing at home. This isn't Ruben Amorim or Ten Hag. It's not them anymore. It is Carrick ball, and I fully expect 3 points and nothing less.
It should be
and
a comfortable win.
I'll be stunned if it's anything less. And proper fuming as well.
Yeah, I think you should really. Crystal Palace are 13th, and obviously they're playing in the Conference League tomorrow as well. So
they might get knocked out. By the way, they
could have. The season could just get worse and worse for them.
God.
Yeah, I think you should win quite comfortably. Again, you just want to keep building on the good performances, the good results you've been having. I think it surprised a lot of people actually how good you've done.
I think it surprised everyone because when Carrick first came in, on your channel saying it, I was saying it on my own platforms. I was saying, this is going to be strictly interim to the end of the season. I don't care if it's an Ollie effect where he wraps an arm around everyone. It's a feel good factor. No, because he's not good enough, and that's it. But it's been the giving the players the confidence, plus seeing how good we have been tactically and how good this manager is tactically. And Steve Holland is a big game changer as well. I mean, Ollie brought Mike Phelan out of retirement. to help him, but it was McKenna and Carrick doing the coaching, and to have him and Steve Holland as well. As the number one
Yeah.
and two, it's a significant upgrade. And people are saying it's the same as Oli. It's not the same as Oli. It's not. Like the pedigree of the coaching is night and day. So
Yeah.
and no one would have ever expected now for I mean, Carrick's saying, yeah, I'm just taking game by game, but I know he's probably talking to the board saying, what's the future going to look like? Am I going to stay? Am I going to go? But I mean, if a world-class manager isn't, or a really intriguing manager option isn't out there, like I don't see a reason why, to break up what's not broken. I don't see a
Yeah.
reason to change it, but we'll see what happens, I guess. I mean, long may it continue.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me a little bit with Arsenal women. We had a manager go, and then she came in like as an assistant, and she's done really good.
Oh yeah,
So
Schlegers,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So I think sometimes, just because not maybe one of those big managers, I think if it's going good, there's no need to change it unless you struggle to get top four. I don't know. I could see him continuing being the manager for you guys next season if you continue to do what you're doing, because I think if you got top three or finish fourth, that is, I mean, it's
playing the
obviously where
football that we have been.
yeah,
For me, if you get Champions League football, for me, especially if you get top three, I can't see a way in which, unless if it's Luis Enrique, for me, I'm not really hearing anyone else, because people are going to say, oh, what about Tuchel? I don't want to have to watch Thomas Tuchel ball every single week. I also want to enjoy what I'm watching, and I never want to go back from this football. I'm not trying to see any more terror squad football. I'm not. I'm honestly not. And I know he'll pick Rashford as well. I know, and he'll pick Mason Mount, and I just don't want to see that either. I don't need to see another manager who falls in love with Mason Mount and we're stuck with them. I'll just be completely honest.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, there's certain managers that do play more of a sort of a negative type of football. I'm with you. If I had it my way, I would love to win playing beautiful. I know sometimes you do have to play a bit ugly and get those results. I always think from what I've seen this season, I think we sort of play as I'd imagine George Graham probably would have played. When he was the manager, obviously his levels above Arteta, but from what we're seeing, I think that is not football I particularly love. But I think if Arsenal win the league, at the end of the day, it won't really matter how we've done it. I think we just have to do it.
At the end of the day, I mean, I hope every single remaining side can just be an obstacle, because if I see Arsenal win that league title, I don't know if I'm going to come back on any channel. I might just be gone the whole summer. I might be, I know what's his face. Elon Musk has like the space program going to Mars. I'm going to be the first one on that, and I don't know. I might just be gone for a little while. I'm going to be MIA from my socials. I'll be on some remote tropical island elsewhere if Arsenal wins the title, because it will be the most insufferable time for me. But I mean, look, they won't care if they win this league title. They are not going to care what football they played.
Yeah, exactly.
They won't care. They're just going to say, who's the current champions? Who won the league? That's it, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's weird because I think there are some Arsenal fans that can be a bit insufferable. I think it puts some of us fans
some is an understatement. I won't be too opinionated, be too strongly opinionated on that, but some I think is a bit of an understatement. That's what I will say. But I mean, my fan base has equally, insufferable fan base as well. I mean, you see them all the time on socials, and I love Patrick Dorgu, but scoring through my rules, I think just the other day, and I saw a Man United fans that you say that Patrick Dorgu, I left wing is better than prime Neymar, and I'm just like this is why I can't have nice things. This is why I can never have nice things. Any Neymar slander, I'm not hearing it, and Dorgu's been amazing at left wing, but come on, just can we please?
Yeah, Neymar was. I love watching Neymar when I was younger.
That's my guy as well, and he's one I have to defend from the slander all the time because people say, oh, but he rolls around and he dives and all that, and it's like Mo Salah and CR7 dive every week, but no one says anything about it. but
Yeah,
Neymar
it's
gets
just
kicked because he's actually skillful.
yeah, I think all it is, it's just part of how he played. When he was in his prime,
Mm.
it does happen in football. I know people have a reputation for that, but yeah,
Putting up the numbers that he did, because he's more or less satisfied all the stats and the GNA, which is the statistic merchants love, but still playing with the fire and the flair and the entertainment. For like after Ronaldinho, he was carrying that Jogo Bonito by himself. Like he was you brilliant player in the wrong era. I mean
yeah,
he's looking around. He's having to play with flipping Martinelli and Jesus, and not to not to give Arsenal loose strays. Douglas Costa, who's good, like nah, but you saw the players that Dino is playing with. The R9s, Roberto Carlos, the Kakos. I mean, it's night and day.
yeah, it
Like,
really
and
is.
I feel sorry for him because he just come around at the wrong time, and he had to carry that Brazil side on his back. And I
Oh, he
always
was
have to remind people
amazing.
that he's for me. He's one of the for me like he's like talent alone. Like for me, like Messi, Maradona, Zidane, maybe CR7. That R9. That's the company that Neymar sits with. Just talent alone. Like he's one of the greatest players to kick a football ever. But people and especially the English media won't give him the credit that
The
he
credit, yeah.
deserves. We all know why, but it's sickening. And Neymar's the guy. He always will be the guy.
Yeah, he was so good in that time he played. Also want to read this. Exactly, Carrick should stay, especially if you can get you Champions League. Yeah, I think.
100%.
Yeah, I
Especially if you
think.
finish third.
Yeah,
It will make
yeah,
me
that'd
think,
be.
right? What could have been if we finished third under Carrick? To some extent, I will be so angry because I'll be thinking, just what if? What if the board just pulled the finger out and just pulled the trigger early? Just what if? If we end up
Exactly.
5 or so points behind Man City, I just think to myself, what if? I'm not saying win the title, but we could be in a title race. But because of that, that guy who I shall not name. It's the reason why we're not there.
You do have a lot of what ifs when you're doing so well at the moment. If it could have happened sooner, you would have been in a better position. So yeah, I think if you can end that season on a high, I think
For
you should
sure.
keep him and just see how it goes.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah,
if Ruben
so-
Amorim was still here, I know one thing's for sure. Kobe Mainoo wouldn't be playing. I know that for sure because Kobe can't play with Bruno apparently. I know Kobe wouldn't be playing minutes. Which
Yeah, that's the thing. It's nice to see the manager actually do make the right decisions for once. Also, obviously, going to Crystal Palace game. Have you got any predictions? Like score predictions for the game?
Crystal Palace again. It's gonna be similar to West Ham, similar to the Everton game. Where for me, it's gonna be just down to quality. Big up again to all the viewers in the comments as well. Of course they're gonna have players that are going to be a threat. Like Ismail Yassar is a decent footballer, but for me the athleticism, the pace, even against Luke Shaw again, it's a matchup that I'm not particularly fancying whatsoever. But he'll be a threat. Yeremy Pino is a decent footballer as well. But it depends. I don't know who's fit or not for Crystal Palace, but one thing it will do. For me, it will be Wharton watch. It will be a Wharton audition for me. I'm just gonna have a look at that. But it's gonna be difficult. It will be a very difficult game. Sheshko, for me, I would want him to start, but if he doesn't, it is what it is. But I think it'd be better if he starts. But score predictions, I'll say, Barnjai, Everton don't really have anyone in attack, but I think Palace maybe have a couple better pieces. I'll say Man United 2, Palace 1. I'll say 2-1.
Yeah, I think it'll be a tough one, but I think you've got the quality. I think you'll win that one. I think you might win like 2-0, like you said, 2-1. Obviously, Arsenal have got Chelsea. I think we'll win that. I don't think it'll be like an easy. I think it might be like a 1 or 2-0 to Arsenal. I mean,
I was going to say clean sheet's guaranteed. Probably at the very least, you'll probably keep a clean sheet.
Yeah, it's difficult with like our clean sheets because There was a point this season where we went so many games without conceding, and
Oh,
now
well,
we seem to be conceding quite a lot, really. So I'm not. I wouldn't be surprised if we did concede, but yeah. What do you kind of think? Do you think Arsenal will beat Chelsea?
I think they will most likely. I mean, it'll be intriguing to see what team Arteta picks. But I
Yeah.
mean, for me, knowing how Arteta is, I wouldn't be shocked in the slightest if Odegaard is back in the side and Eze is on the bench. I wouldn't be surprised. I genuinely wouldn't be surprised. And as insane as that might sound, we know how Arteta is, people.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised at that. But even if that's the case, like, again, I mean, for your attackers, and I know Trossard and Martinelli aren't the greatest in starting to grow out of them, but I mean, bar Reece James, and Cucurella, I don't rate any of Chelsea's centre backs. Fofana can't stay fit. Chalobah is mediocre. Tosin, yeah, the less said the better. And for me, Levi Colwill, as promising as he is, he's so overrated for me. And Robert Sanchez has improved as he is this season. We all know, we'll see the Robert Sanchez, we all know and love. Score predictions, I mean, for me, yeah, you lot have been conceding goals. I'll say also 3-1. I mean, I hope it's a 1-1 because it helps me with top 4 and it derails you lot. So that would be amazing, but it's not. I know it's not going to happen, but I'll say the 3-1 Arsenal.
Yeah, hopefully we'll both get a win again going into our next show as well. But yeah, fingers crossed with Arsenal we can get a win. Before we do wrap the show up, I thought you could just tell people again about your channel and obviously what sort of content you do and where they can find you.
Yeah, so I mean, similar to what Soph does here, I do football content as well. You can find us over at Premier League Primetime, where there will be a description for that in the channel below. If not, we're at PL Primetime on Instagram. We're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, we're on Instagram, and we're on YouTube. And then the next show will be over on my channel. So come over to my channel, see what we're all about. And if you want to have a look at our past shows over there, feel free, go and do it, because next show will be very, very interesting at the very least.
Yeah, so yeah, obviously next week I will be back on your channel, which will be great, and hopefully we'll both be happy. But I will, obviously the title for your channel is in the description, so do subscribe to PL Primetime. Obviously, big ups to chat, anyone that has been watching this. I really appreciate your comments, or anyone that's just watching. Yeah, so big ups to everyone. Obviously, you can subscribe to my channel, Gunnar Gossip TV, and do subscribe
people Primetime if you're not.
Yeah, and yeah, really enjoyed today's show. Obviously, thank you for coming on. It goes so quick when we chat about football. But yeah, thank you
Always
for coming on. Yeah, take care, everyone, and I'll be back in my next video.